All right, Rob, the big news. Just days after Kyrie Irving says he's going to opt in, and indeed did opt in, Kevin Durant, one of the best players in basketball, requests a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. Your thoughts?
The whole thing is crazy, Chris. Mashugana is the best way to describe it, I guess. Just crazy. And for all the reasons you just talked about. You knew Kyrie was coming back. You could look at it and say to yourself, if you're KD, let's see if this thing, we could finally all get healthy. And you got Ben Simmons, you got Joe Harris, you got this team, and let's give it a shot. Like, we haven't given it a real shot yet. And when they did play, or when they had the big three and they were just playing, they were winning. And we talked about it with a lot of former NBA players who just said it's an arms race. They got a lot of arms. But to bow out in this circumstance and situation, especially on KD's part, I think he's lost a lot. And I'm talking about, Chris, basketball respect. No one's lost any respect for him as a person. He can do whatever he wants. He's playing a game. He could just do whatever he wants. But basketball wise, I gotta admit, I'm out on KD. And what I mean
you've
is,
been a KD.
Absolutely, I think he's a great player. He's a great player,
and of course, and everybody admits that.
Everybody knows that. But I don't like the way he moves. I don't like the way he has what he's done to his career. Just questionable move after move to me. And it's hard for me to hitch my wagon to a guy like that and want to see him have success. I'm not rooting against him, Chris, but I can't stand in that camp because I don't understand it. The franchise took both of them on, gave KD, $200 million. I just don't.
Gave him a max deal when they knew he wasn't going to play the first season.
Exactly. Like, they've done everything they could do. And I'm not a Nets apologist, but I don't see what the Nets have done wrong here. And for KD to take another move where people look at him and go, what? I think he's, and not all players, but this era has, Chris, developed and shown us some of the most selfish players we've ever seen. Like they destroyed the Nets organization and franchise as far as value and where they go from here. The way they move around without any regards for anything, I just don't think it's good. I think KD has lost a lot of basketball respect, and people will look at him as like, yeah, he's a great player, and that's about it. That's where I'm at.
Well, what he looks like, Rob, quite honestly, is a lost soul. That's what he looks like. On the one hand, I might say he looks like when the going gets tough, he gets out of Dodge. In Oklahoma City, yeah, he did stay 9 years, I believe it was, and he fought hard and tried to get them a championship. But ultimately, he left because it was tough. It's tough to win the championship there. And he went to a place, and I didn't rip him then. I'm not going to rip him now. But we all know it was a stacked team. It was a stacked team, and he played great. He made them better. But they were 8 and 9 in the finals. Relatively easy championships. And now here, to your point, why not run it back? Why? I mean, if they had played out next season and it went wrong, then I would understand KD being like, we gave it a shot. We couldn't get it done. I'm going to go elsewhere. But to your point, Rob, they didn't even give it a shot.
They didn't give it a real shot. And I think that's the crime in this, Chris. I agree. Like, they really didn't. And KD is the big culprit because I don't know. Is this a rejection of Kyrie to me? Like Would he have stayed if Kyrie would have opted
there's
out?
talk
You know
that
what I'm
they wanna
saying?
Play. There's talk that they want
I
to
know,
play together.
but
So
that move doesn't make sense.
I've heard that they had, there might have been a little tension at one point, but not a full falling out, over Kyrie not playing and kind of leaving KD hanging. But this is a part of the lost soul. You weren't happy in OKC. You left there. You go to Golden State. You win 2 championships, 2 finals MVPs. Everything is great. And you're not happy there. Not only did you leave to show you're not happy, you said when you won the championship, it was an empty feeling. And then you go to Brooklyn. You got your own team. You're playing with one of your best friends in the league, at least, if not best friends overall. The franchise is bending over backwards for you, and you're not happy there. Where are you going to be happy? I hate to put it this way, because I hope Kevin Durant is happy. But he looks like a lost soul.
No,
this plays into what, Rob, I don't believe Kevin Durant will ever lead his own team to a championship.
Well, maybe he doesn't even want to. I mean, maybe this was the signal that
he's not a leader by his own admission. GQ Magazine 2017.
But you could still lead by playing. Everybody's not a leader.
Well, he'll always do that.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So he could be the leading player on a team that wins a championship.
He was in Golden State the best player. So I'm not saying that, but I'm saying when it's his team and people are looking to him to set the tone, build the culture, set the tone for the culture, lead us, that's not who he is. And that's not a crime. But if you look at the great players, Rob, who've won multiple championships or led dynasties, they were leaders. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, Tim Duncan. They are leaders. They either lead vocally as well as by example, or they lead by setting the tone for the culture. This is how we do it. That's how Duncan and Steph did it. That's not Kevin Durant. And again, not a crime, but I think now we know why all his talent, all the great teammates he's had, that's why he hasn't gotten it done outside of going to Steph's team. And I think now, ideally for him, Rob, he would go to a place, a Miami. Maybe that's why he wants to go to Miami. A Phoenix. Maybe that's why he wants to go to Phoenix, because Chris Paul is there. Where you got a leader. In Miami, it's, whether it's Jimmy Butler or just the organization, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, strong personalities. So,
yeah, I'm just... It's shocking for somebody of that talent not to be willing to know what's at stake. And that's why, like you mentioned a little bit, when he went to Golden State and he said it was empty and a lot of, some former players, weren't ready to crown him about going there and making that move, especially with a team that had beaten him in the series before he joined them, Chris. And now to just totally abandon what's going on when an organization, and Chris, we both covered the Nets. This is a different organization from when it was the New Jersey Nets. Right. When I covered them, they won 17 games a year. And people can point fingers at the Nets. They haven't done anything wrong. They were presented an opportunity that any franchise, especially a franchise trying to make a name in New York and win a championship for a franchise that has never won in the NBA. I don't think it's a crime if KD and Kyrie come and knock at your door and you have cap room to sign them, Chris. Right. I don't.
No, I don't. Look, you're right. Most places would have done it. We can say, and they were wrong for just turning over the franchise to these guys. But I was talking to somebody earlier. Okay, if they had done the right thing, if you will, and said, look, this is how we run things. Even once they might not have come, number one, or number two, They wouldn't have been happy with that. They would have been upset that they had Kenny Atkinson as a coach. Kyrie said, we don't need some guy that's going to be making us run the first day of practice. Guy trying to put his philosophy on us. So if the Nets had tried to say, this is our culture, a la the Miami Heat, guess what? It would have been the same thing.
Nah,
it would have been the same ending. It might have been earlier, right?
Right. And
it would have been the same thing.
This is, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but if you're a fan out there, Chris, and you're a KD fan, or just where's the respect level for him? It feels cowardly. It feels weak.
Cowardly. On paper,
it feels cowardly.
They are as good as basically anybody in the NBA.
No,
Kyrie Irving, great point guard.
Yep.
Seth Curry and Joe Harris, great shooters. Kevin Durant does it all. If you want to bring back Nick Claxton, who am I? Ben Simmons, great
Patty
defender.
Mills. I don't know.
Like you bring back Patty.
Yes.
On paper, you had as much as anybody, and you're not even going to run it back one time,
right? Just to see, right.
Right, to your point, Rob, you haven't had a full season. First year, KD's out. Second year, KD's out for some of the season.
Yep,
Kyrie, Harden, they're all injured at points in the season. And in the playoffs, they're not together for anything but a few games, all three of them. Then last year, Kyrie's out.
Right.
Like, you haven't even given it a try.
That's why I think it's cowardly to cut bait and run rather than say to yourself, let me give this a shot. And then after this year, you would know better, Chris. Kyrie would be looking for a new contract, whether or not he's going to be there or not. You could say, oh, Ben Simmons didn't get it together. He still screwed up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then to me, that's fair to say it's just too many things here that need to go right, and it's not going to happen. And
if Ben doesn't get his mind right, and he doesn't play but 10 games.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that would be fair to say that. But what he did here was as lame as can be. I think it's a lame move by him.
Rob, that would be the second time many people said that. I didn't say that the first time.
I think this is worse.
Right? This would be – really?
I do.
Why?
Because,
that's saying
a
lot.
No, I'm going to say because he's the main guy here. He's the guy, Chris, who's the head of the snake is cutting bait. Like in that situation where Draymond and them all begged him to come or whatever it was, this was supposed to be his moment to be that guy. And to cement his legacy. If he goes to Brooklyn, wins a championship in New York, wins one for a franchise that has never won an NBA championship, is the leader of the Nets or whatever, then people would say, yeah, he won with Steph and them. But look, he went to the finals with OKC. They didn't win. They were young. He won 2 championships, was the finals MVP, came to New York with a lot of pressure and this whole idea, this thing going to work, and they won, and they actually put it together and won, and that's why I say this is worse, because he cut bait.